There exists a music beneath the surface of all that is, a subtle vibration woven into the fabric of existence, a cosmic tongue whispered by the stars themselves. It is a language not spoken in words, but danced through frequencies, etched into the spirals of galaxies, encoded in the very dance of subatomic particles. To decode this language is to step beyond the veil of ordinary perception and into a realm where the boundaries between mind, matter, and spirit dissolve into a shimmering continuum of meaning. It is here, in the luminous twilight between what we know and what we sense, that the journey of the soul truly begins to ignite. Imagine the universe as an immense, living manuscript, layered with symbols and codes crafted by the invisible hand of cosmic intelligence. Each star is a letter, each constellation a sentence, and the intricate geometry of spacetime itself forms the grammar of a narrative older than time. To decode this language is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is an awakening, an initiation into a hidden dialogue that transcends the confines of the self. When the mind begins to read these signs, seeing beyond the surface illusion of reality, it sparks a flame within the spirit, a fire that lights the path towards deeper understanding and transformation. This flame is no ordinary light. It burns with the essence of revelation, a brilliant ignition of consciousness that warms the soul even as it challenges it. The process of deciphering this universal code is akin to encountering a long-lost map that reveals secret pathways through the labyrinth of existence. As the patterns unfold, sacred geometries, synchronicities, fractal echoes of infinity, the mind awakens from its slumber, shifting from passive observer to active co-creator in the cosmic dance. This profound shift sets the spiritual journey into motion, a voyage not only through external realms but deep into the inner sanctum of being where the true language of the universe resonates. In practical terms, decoding this language offers a radical reorientation of how one experiences reality. It dissolves the illusion of separateness that has long veiled consciousness, opening a portal to interconnectedness and unity. One begins to perceive the invisible threads that weave all life into a vast tapestry, recognizing that every thought, feeling, and action vibrates within this sacred network. The awakening that follows is not a fleeting moment, but a sustained expansion, a widening of perspective where the ego no longer dominates, but becomes a humble instrument attuned to the greater symphony of existence. Yet the cosmic language is not handed down in a neat lexicon or straightforward formula. Like the swirling patterns of a nebula or the intricate motion of the celestial orbits, it is elusive and multidimensional, inviting patience and humility. To read it requires more than logic. It demands intuition, a surrender to the mystery that allows the heart to decode what the mind cannot grasp alone. It is here that the spiritual seeker becomes a translator, bridging the sacred and the mundane, weaving the infinite into the fabric of everyday life. In this sacred alchemy, the mind's ignition transforms into a continual source of light and insight, guiding the soul through shifting realities and expanding horizons. This experience resonates profoundly in a world increasingly haunted by fragmentation and disconnection. As the outer world fractures under the weight of chaos and uncertainty, the inner language of the universe beckons as a beacon of coherence and hope. To decode it is to discover an eternal compass embedded within one's being, a cosmic lodestar that shines through the fog of confusion and fear. It reminds us that beneath the surface turbulence lies a mighty current of wisdom and harmony, flowing eternally through the shadows of existence. Thus, the spiritual journey kindled by this decoding is both a return to the source and a forward leap into unexplored realms of consciousness. From ancient temples carved with sacred symbols to the cosmic pulses captured by modern science, the language of the universe has always been present, waiting silently for those ready to listen. It is encoded in the spirals of DNA and the patterns of light that shimmer across the night sky, in the heartbeat of the earth and the dance of electrons. To decode it is to awaken to the realization that one is not a mere observer, but an integral note within this grand cosmic symphony. The mind's ignition by this understanding is a sacred spark that transforms the seeker into a luminous beacon, illuminating paths of insight and transcendent truth. The spiritual journey that unfolds thereafter is not linear but cyclical, resembling the eternal orbits of celestial bodies, each revolution revealing deeper layers, fresh revelations, and new dimensions of awareness. It is a dynamic interplay between knowing and unknowing, between silence and voice, where the decoded symbols become living threads weaving together the past, present, and future into a seamless whole. In this way, the ignition of the mind is the ignition of a cosmic awakening, a dance of spirit and mind that invites us to step beyond the veil of illusion and enter the heart of mystery itself. To embark upon this journey is to embrace a paradox, seeking clarity through mystery, finding certainty within uncertainty, and discovering the profound in the simplest of cosmic signs. It is to engage in an ongoing dialogue with the very source of being, where every moment becomes an opportunity to read anew the sacred text of the stars, the earth, and the inner self. This is the essence of what it means to decode the language of the universe and allow the mind to ignite the spiritual flame within, a flame that not only illuminates the path, but transforms the traveler into the living embodiment of universal wisdom. In the breath of this cosmic narrative, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the boundaries of time and space blur into a luminous dance of revelation. This journey, awakened by the decoding of the universe's language, is the pulse of existence itself, a call to awaken, to remember, and to become the radiant spark of consciousness that lights the way through the dark night of unknowing into the dawn of eternal knowing. To understand the soul-stirring ignition that occurs within the mind, once the language of the universe is decoded, we must first traverse the landscape of fundamental pillars that undergird this revelation. These are not mere ideas to be catalogued or intellectual toys to be trifled with, but living currents that pulse beneath the surface of reality, shaping the very fabric of existence and consciousness. At the core of this awakening lies a profound interplay between illusion and truth, a dance of shadows cast by the finite mind upon the infinite canvas of cosmic knowing. The first of these threads is the recognition of patterns, universal motifs woven into the architecture of all things, from the spiraling arms of galaxies to the delicate symmetry of a snowflake. These patterns are the alphabet of the cosmos, a sacred geometry through which the invisible becomes visible and the ineffable takes form. When the mind begins to notice and decode these signs, it steps onto a threshold where the veil of separation between self and other, subject and object, begins to dissolve. It is here that the mind ignites, lighting with a fire born not of mere cognition, but of deep resonance. This resonance aligns the seeker with the pulse of creation itself, revealing that what once seemed disconnected fragments are in truth harmonics of a single, vast symphony. Yet within this recognition lies a paradox. Patterns can also deceive. They can become the scaffolding of illusion when perceived as rigid absolutes rather than as fluid metaphors. The mind, prone to grasping at certainty, may misconstrue these patterns as final truths, thereby imprisoning itself within a labyrinth of conceptual cages. The true art of decoding, therefore, is not to cling to these patterns, but to see through them, like the mirage shimmering on a desert horizon, to the deeper essence that animates them. This essence is the pulse beneath the pattern, the silence between the notes of the cosmic song, the subtle undercurrent that whispers of boundless possibility beyond form. This brings us to the second pillar, the interplay between illusion and deeper truth, between Maya and Brahman as ancient wisdom terms it. The universe presents itself as a grand illusion, a play of light and shadow, a cosmic riddle that beckons the seeker to look beyond the surface. The decoded language reveals this dual nature. It is both mask and mirror, hiding and revealing at once. This realization is both unsettling and liberating, for to awaken spiritually is to become simultaneously a witness and a participant in the grand theater of existence. The mind ignites not merely by knowledge, but by a radical shift in perspective, seeing that illusions, though transient and deceptive, are the necessary stage upon which the eternal truth performs its dance. The spiritual journey then becomes a continual peeling away of veils, a descent into the heart of paradox where form and formlessness, being and non-being, merge into a seamless truth. Embedded in this journey is the third guiding concept, the nature of consciousness itself. To decode the language of the universe is to awaken to a realization that consciousness is not a mere byproduct of matter, but the very ground from which all phenomena arise. This consciousness is vast, unfathomable, and fundamentally interconnected. It is the silent ocean beneath the waves of thought and perception. When the mind ignites, it recognizes itself as a spark within this ocean, simultaneously distinct and inseparable. This recognition is the alchemical transformation, where the seeker moves from feeling isolated and fragmented toward a profound sense of unity and participation in the cosmic whole. It is the ignition of the I that knows itself as part of the we, the personal flame that flickers in harmony with the universal fire. Moreover, the decoded language reveals that this consciousness communicates not in words alone, but in symbols, metaphors, and patterns that transcend linear time and space. This symbolic language, often dismissed as myth or metaphor by the rational mind, becomes the key to unlocking deeper layers of reality. It is the code embedded in sacred texts, the geometry of temples, the rhythm of ancient chants, and the synchronicities that ripple through everyday life. When the mind tunes into this language, it accesses a reality beyond the mundane, where each symbol is a doorway to expanded awareness, a bridge between the seen and unseen. The ignition of the spiritual journey is thus a shift into a mode of perception where meaning flows ceaselessly, and the universe reveals itself as a living text, infinitely interpretable yet deeply coherent. Another pillar arises from the recognition of time not as a rigid linear sequence, but as a fluid tapestry where past, present, and future coalesce in an eternal now. Decoding the universe's language means stepping outside the constraints of conventional chronology to perceive time as cyclical, fractal, and malleable. In this view, spiritual awakening is woven into moments of now that ripple backward and forward, transforming memory and prophecy alike into aspects of an unfolding cosmic dance. The mind ignites with the awareness that every instant holds the potential for revelation, that the spiritual journey is not a distant horizon, but the constant unfolding of presence itself. This temporal fluidity invites the traveler to release the grip on cause and effect and embrace the mystery of co-creation with the universe. Within these guiding pillars, the heart of the spiritual journey pulses, an invitation to dissolve the boundaries of the self and merge with the vastness of all that is. The decoded language is not a static code. It is an evolving conversation where the seeker becomes both reader and text. The mind ignites in this sacred act of participation, where knowing and unknowing swirl together like cosmic winds stirring the stars. It is an awakening that transcends intellectual comprehension, beckoning the soul to play its part in the eternal symphony of light and shadow, form and emptiness, illusion and truth. This is the alchemy of spiritual ignition, the moment when the coded signs cease to be mere symbols and become living keys to the infinite, unlocking the door to an inner cosmos that is as vast and luminous as the universe itself. In the vast theater of existence where shadows and light weave the tapestry of meaning, the journey of decoding the universe's language is often mirrored by timeless allegories, whispered by sages and etched into the cosmic scrolls of myth. Here, the mind's ignition of the spiritual journey unfolds not merely as a concept, but as a living narrative, an odyssey embroidered in symbols that beckon the traveler to dive beneath the surface of ordinary perception and into the pulsating heart of hidden truths. Consider the tale of the celestial weaver, a figure who sits at the loom of starlight, threading strands of cosmic code into intricate patterns invisible to the untrained eye. Each thread is a sacred syllable, each not a phrase in the language of existence. The weaver does not merely craft fabric but breathes life into the very essence of reality, weaving stories that resonate across time and space. To decode these threads is to perceive that the universe is not chaos but an ordered symphony, where every vibration and silence has intention. Yet the weaver's gift is paradoxical. The more one sees the pattern, the more the pattern dissolves into the boundless horizon of possibility. It is a dance between clarity and mystery, where the mind ignites in recognition, yet the spirit learns that true understanding is a surrender to not knowing, a relinquishing into the flow of the cosmic weave itself. In another whispered allegory, the parable of the luminous mirror, a seeker stumbles upon a mirror that does not reflect their outer form, but instead reveals the innermost constellations of their soul. At first, the seeker is bewildered, searching for the familiar in the shimmering depths only to find a shifting nebula of light and shadow, stars and voids intertwining endlessly. This mirror does not offer answers, but invites the traveler to decode the language of their own inner cosmos. Each star in the reflection is a symbol, a language of the self waiting to be read. The ignition of the mind here is the spark of recognition, that the outer universe mirrors the inner labyrinth, and the journey across the stars is a journey within. The spiritual pilgrimage begins when the surface dissolves and one inhabits the luminous reflection, where mind, spirit, and universe interlace in an eternal embrace. A third narrative emerges from the sands of time, the legend of the silent oracle. This oracle speaks not through words, but through silence and the subtle shift of shadows cast in twilight. The seekers who approach the oracle come burdened with questions, expecting clear guidance, yet find only the invitation to listen deeply, to the spaces between sound, to the language that dances on the edge of consciousness. Decoding the universe, as this tale suggests, is less about grasping concrete truths and more about attuning to the resonance beneath appearances. The mind ignites when it learns to hear through silence, to see through darkness, recognizing that the universe communicates in the language of paradox, and paradox alone is the gateway to illumination. Here, awakening is the realization that the most profound knowledge is born in the crucible of emptiness, that the sacred journey is a pilgrimage into the silent heart of being where spirit and cosmos converge. Weaving these stories into the fabric of understanding, one begins to perceive that the language of the universe is not merely an external cipher to crack, but an internal dance of symbols and archetypes. The cosmic script is written not just across the stars, but etched within the spirals of DNA, the flutter of a bird's wings, the cadence of breath, and the flicker of thoughts. The narratives remind us, through allegory and symbol, that to decode the universe is to awaken a synergy between intellect and intuition, reason and mystery. The mind ignites when it ceases to be a passive observer and becomes an active interpreter, a sacred participant in the cosmic dialogue. The spiritual journey thus ignited is both personal and universal, a voyage propelled by the revelation that within every symbol lies a threshold, a portal through which the soul steps into deeper dimensions of reality. This ignition can be likened to the myth of the phoenix, whose fiery death and resurrection embody the alchemy of transformation. The phoenix's flame is the mind set ablaze with cosmic insight, burning away illusion and limitation. Through the ashes of old paradigms, a new form emerges, illuminated, radiant, and soaring beyond the known sky. The spiritual journey is the flight of this mythical bird, a perpetual cycle of decoding and rebirth, where each insight scorches away the veils of separation, and each act of understanding fans the flames of unity. The mind's ignition is thus no mere flicker, but a cosmic fire that consumes and renews, driving the seeker ever onward toward the horizon of infinite awakening. In the constellation of these allegories, one finds an invitation to dwell in the paradox of knowing and unknowing, to embrace the mysterious geometry of existence encoded in symbols that shimmer like secret stars. These symbolic stories function as keys, each unlocking a facet of the spiritual ignition, reminding us that awakening is not a destination but a luminous unveiling, a sacred dance with the universe's own breath. The act of decoding is itself a poetic unfolding, where the mind awakens not only to the mysteries out there, but to the eternal spark within. It is here, in this sacred interstice between symbol and insight, that the spiritual journey truly ignites, transforming the traveler into both the language and the light of the cosmos. When the mind ignites with the profound language of the universe, the flickering flame of abstract understanding begins to warm the chill of mundane days. It is not merely an ethereal dance of thought, but a transformation that weaves itself into the very fabric of daily existence. The decoded symbols and cosmic patterns, once perceived as distant constellations in the night sky of the soul, begin to glow like lanterns along a forest path, illuminating choices, relationships, and moments that might otherwise slip past unnoticed. A spiritual awakening, kindled by this sacred knowledge, extends its roots into the soil of ordinary life, turning it fertile ground for deeper meaning and conscious presence. Consider the rhythm of breath, an unnoticed cadence that becomes a metronome for awakened living. When one understands that the universe itself inhales and exhales in cyclical harmony, the simple act of breathing unfolds into a sacred ritual. Each inhalation is an invitation to receive the endless flow of cosmic intention, and every exhalation a release of what no longer serves the soul's expansion. This recognition softens the boundary between the interior world and the external cosmos. The air we draw in is a tangible thread connecting us to the vibrant web of existence, making even the most repetitive, automatic actions pulse with significance. Through this lens, mundane tasks become meditations, and daily struggles transform into opportunities for alchemical transmutation. The language of the universe speaks in paradoxes and symbols, and when decoded, it teaches the sacred art of balance. Life's contradictions, the joy found in sorrow, the strength born from vulnerability, the peace that arises within chaos, reveal themselves as expressions of a cosmic geometry. This understanding infuses the seeker's perception with grace. Emotional turbulence ceases to be a storm to weather, but emerges as a tide to flow with, a natural oscillation in the grand cosmic dance. Through this shift, personal conflicts dissolve into lessons in harmony, inviting the individual to embody the sacred equilibrium that underlies the illusions of separation. Instead of resisting or fleeing discomfort, one learns to become the calm eye within the swirling winds, a living testament to the unity embedded in duality. The decoded cosmic language also whispers secrets of interconnectedness that ripple across everyday relationships. Each encounter, no matter how fleeting, is a meeting of universes, an exchange of energies that carries the pulse of the infinite. Recognizing this deep connection transforms interactions into sacred rituals. The casual smile from a stranger, the tension in a disagreement, the silence shared between friends, all become notes in the symphony of collective awakening. The spiritual journey, once an isolated quest, blossoms into a communal pilgrimage where the mind's ignition fuels compassion, empathy, and a fearless openness to the other. Boundaries thin, walls dissolve, and the heart begins to beat in rhythmic resonance with the vast cosmic chorus. In the realm of choice and will, the awakening mind finds new clarity. The decoded patterns reveal that free will is not chaos but a conscious unfolding within a divine architecture. Each decision is a brush stroke on the canvas of becoming, an expression of the soul's evolving narrative. This revelation empowers the individual to move beyond reactionary patterns and automatic conditioning. Life's labyrinthine paths become less daunting when understood as the sacred geometry of growth. Recognizing the interconnectedness of cause and effect, intention and manifestation, the awakened mind steps into a more deliberate dance with destiny. Choices become prayers, actions become offerings, and the journey itself is honored as a sacred text written moment by moment. The presence of this cosmic language within the psyche also redefines the concept of time. No longer linear or rigid, time unfurls as a multidimensional river flowing in spirals and eddies, carrying the self through past, present, and future simultaneously. This realization invites a profound shift in how urgency and patience are perceived. Deadlines and pressures gently dissolve when the traveler embraces the eternal now, where every instant contains infinite possibility. The mind ignited by universal code learns to navigate time's currents with the grace of a celestial sailor, surrendering to the flow while steering with conscious intent. In this way, the spiritual journey infuses the practical rhythms of scheduling and goal setting with a deeper trust in the unfolding of life's sacred design. The decoding of the universe's language also reveals the sacredness embedded in nature's cycles and seasons, inviting a harmonious alignment with earthly rhythms. The waxing and waning of the moon, the turning of the seasons, the rise and fall of tides become more than background phenomena. They transform into living symbols of inner states and spiritual phases. Aligning daily life with these cycles fosters a profound attunement to the pulse of existence itself. One learns to honor moments of rest as deeply as moments of action, recognizing the necessity of darkness for the emergence of light. This cyclical awareness grounds the seeker in a universal flow, weaving spiritual insights seamlessly into the tactile reality of planting, harvesting, and renewal, nature's eternal testament to the dance of life, death, and rebirth. Within the spheres of creativity and expression, the mind ignited by cosmic language finds a vibrant source of inspiration. The spiritual journey reveals that art is a dialogue between the seen and unseen, a channel through which universal energies pulse through human hands. Decoding the language of symbols awakens a deeper wellspring of imagination, where every color, sound, and shape resonates with hidden meanings. This awareness transforms creative endeavors into sacred acts, rituals of manifestation where the invisible is given form. The artist, writer, or thinker becomes a conduit for the cosmic narrative, weaving threads of meaning that ripple outward into the collective consciousness. Through this transformative process, ordinary moments of creation are invested with eternal significance, and the spiritual journey becomes an ongoing work of art. The practical implications extend even into the realm of health and well-being, where the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit becomes vividly apparent. The ignition of spiritual insight fosters a holistic awareness that invites the seeker to listen deeply to the body's language, understanding symptoms not as isolated problems, but as messages from the greater self. The decoded cosmic language encourages a reverence for the body as a sacred vessel, a temple where universal energies take form. This recognition inspires choices that honor balance, nourishment, and healing, not simply as physical acts but as spiritual practices. Through this integration, wellness blossoms as an active dialogue between the individual and the cosmos, where care for the self echoes care for the whole. Ultimately, the fire sparked by decoding the universe's language kindles a life lived in profound presence and intentionality. The spiritual journey, once imagined as a distant quest beyond the material world, reveals itself as the sacred unfolding nested within every breath, every thought, every encounter. The ignition of the mind is the awakening of a consciousness that perceives beyond illusion, into the luminous architecture beneath reality's surface. This awareness transforms choices, relationships, and actions, weaving the cosmic into the ordinary with seamless grace. It is a continual unfolding, an invitation to dance with mystery while walking firmly upon the earth, a radiant testament to the truth that the spiritual journey is not separate from life, but life itself, illuminated by the light of awakening. The journey we have traced together, traversing the vast landscapes of cosmic language and the inner sanctums of consciousness, draws now to a contemplative close, not with a firm endpoint, but with an open invitation to step deeper into the unfolding mystery. Imagine standing at the edge of an infinite horizon where the stars above mirror the constellations awakening within your mind. To decode the language of the universe is to step into an ancient dialogue, one that pulses not only through distant galaxies but through the very cells of your being. Here, understanding is not a final destination but a seed, a spark that ignites the boundless fire of the spiritual journey that lies ahead. This ignition is at once a revelation and a return, a paradoxical dance where the mind's illumination reveals that the universe is not out there, separate from you, but an intimate reflection of the luminous architecture within. The language you have decoded is not composed solely of abstract symbols or cryptic codes, but the very tapestry upon which your existence is embroidered. Every shimmering particle, every breath of wind, every flicker of light becomes a letter, a word, a verse in this living script that binds the cosmos to your soul. To grasp this is to awaken the mind to a radical truth, that consciousness itself is the original medium through which the universe articulates its infinite creativity. Yet this awakening transcends intellectual comprehension. It is a profound alchemical process where the mind sparks the spirit into motion, an ignition that reverberates throughout the corridors of your being. It is the mind recognizing that it is not merely an observer but a co-creator, a cosmic participant woven into the unfolding drama of existence. This recognition dissolves the veil of separation that confines perception and beckons you to embrace a life where the sacred and the mundane merge seamlessly, where each moment becomes an opportunity to witness the dance of universal intelligence manifesting through your choices, gestures, and very presence. In this light, the spiritual journey is reframed not as a distant quest for enlightenment, but as a continuous awakening to the intimate language in which reality speaks to you. It is a journey without an end, a perpetual unfolding where curiosity and reverence become twin flames lighting the way. The decoded language serves as both map and compass, guiding you through the labyrinth of paradoxes and uncertainties that characterize the human experience. It teaches patience and surrender, inviting you to trust the unseen currents beneath the surface of time and space, to listen not only with your ears, but with the subtle faculties of your heart and intuition. As this journey unfolds, it becomes clear that the fire kindled by decoding the universe's language is not a solitary blaze, but a communal torch passed between kindred souls, a shared illumination that transcends boundaries and fosters a deeper sense of unity. The spiritual odyssey ignited within is inseparable from the collective awakening of consciousness, a reminder that the dance of existence is choreographed not in isolation, but through interwoven connections that ripple outward in ever-expanding circles. Your ignition becomes a beacon, a luminous point of convergence where personal transformation and universal evolution intertwine in a sacred embrace. So, as you stand now on the precipice of your own awakening, reflect on the sacred resonance that has stirred within you, the quiet knowing that the language of the universe is alive and accessible, whispering ancient truths in the cadence of stars and the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Allow this illumination to permeate the choices you make, the relationships you nurture, and the intentions you set forth into the world. Recognize that every moment holds the potential to deepen your connection to this cosmic dialogue, to ignite your spirit anew with the vibrant energy of discovery and presence. In embracing this path, you come to realize that the spiritual journey is not an escape from reality, but a radical immersion into its unfolding majesty. It calls you to become a conscious weaver of meaning, a translator of the silent symphony that underlies all form. The decoded language becomes a living lens, revealing that beneath the apparent chaos and fragmentation, there exists an elegant order, a sacred geometry of experience designed to awaken and expand your consciousness beyond the confines of the known. May this insight be your companion and your catalyst, that the universe's language is not a secret reserved for the few, but a universal heritage awaiting your discovery, a mirror reflecting the infinite potential of your own spirit. As your mind ignites this spiritual journey, may you walk forward with open eyes and a heart attuned to the mysteries that pulse beneath the surface, knowing that to decode is to awaken, and to awaken is to become the radiant light through which the universe tells its eternal story.